Class 6, Unit 2, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. William Kamkwamba and Brian Mueller. In a small village in Malawi, a poor country in Africa, people had no money for lighting their homes. So the villagers, most of them small farmers, went to bed as soon as night fell. But for William, a young boy, darkness was the time for dreams. He dreamed of putting together things and taking them apart. He kept toy trucks with wheels made of bottle caps under his bed. He was fascinated by music he heard on the radio. Where are the musicians and singers, he would wonder. He would crack open old radios to find them. As he lay awake, his grandpa's tales of magic flashed through his mind. Ghost dancers in the stories seemed to twirl before his eyes. As William worked in the fields at dawn, he imagined he could see magical beings among the rows of maize. As trucks rumbled across the path, he wondered how their engines made them go. "Look where you throw your hoe," his father would shout, shaking him out of his dreamy thoughts. But the magical beings of William's imagination could not bring rain. Without water, the angry sun scorched the fields. The farmers' prayers for rain went unanswered. The rows of maize turned into dust. Without food, Malawi began to starve. Soon William's father gathered the children and said, "From now on, we eat only one meal per day. Make it last." In the evenings, they sat around the lantern and ate their handful of food, watching hungry people pass like spirits along the roads. Money also disappeared with the rain. Only a few lucky children could go to school. William was one of the dropouts. For weeks, he sulked under a mango tree. Then he remembered a library down the road. In the library, he found science books filled with brilliant pictures. With some difficulty, he started reading. Soon he learned how engines moved the big trucks and how radios pulled music from the sky. But what attracted him the most was the picture of a machine taller than the tallest tree he had seen. It had huge blades like a fan. It looked like a giant pinwheel. William read on. He learned that it was a machine that produced electricity and pumped water. William closed his eyes. He saw the machine drawing cool water from the ground. The water gushed through the thirsty fields, turning the maize tall and green. The windmill was more than a machine. It was a weapon to fight hunger. "I will make an electric wind," William whispered to himself. The junkyard in the village was a treasure house to William. He found things that would help him realize his grand dream. Some things he could just pick up, like a tractor fan or some pipe. Other things, like bearings and bolts, he had to remove. He had to strain every muscle in his body. The wheel for the electric wind was a big problem. But after much wrangling, William got it. William's father allowed him to take out one of the wheels of his bicycle. It was a big sacrifice. The bicycle was his family's only vehicle. "Go away!" William shouted to the birds and spiders which had made the junkyard their home. As William carried his prized possessions home, the villagers said to each other, "He is crazy. Only crazy people play with trash." After many weeks, William arranged his pieces in the dirt. A broken bicycle, rusted bottle caps, and plastic pipe. There was even a small generator that powered a headlight on a bike. For 3 days, he bolted, banged, and tinkered. Chickens squawked, dogs howled, and neighbors shook their heads. "What's the crazy boy doing now?" the neighbors asked themselves. But his cousin Jeffrey and his best friend Gilbert soon appeared. "Can we help with the electric wind?" they asked him. "Get your axes and follow me," William said. William took them to the forest. Together, they swung their sharp blades into the trunks of trees. They cut long planks and hammered them together to make the tower for the windmill. They erected the tower and fixed the huge blades on the top. William had made a crude motor which would rotate as the wind turned the blades. As soon as the wind was strong enough to turn the blades, he connected the wires from the motor to a bulb. William, Jeffrey, and Gilbert watched excitedly as the light glowed. It glowed faintly at first, but as the wind became stronger, it burned bright like the sun. "Well done," one of the onlookers shouted. Soon, everybody started cheering. "I have made an electric wind," William shouted ecstatically. But William knew he had just begun. He had only managed to light a bulb with his windmill, but he had made the beginning. Soon, another, more powerful windmill would work a pump. It would water the fields in his village, creating food where once there was none. It would be a more wonderful magic than what he had heard in his grandpa's stories. Adapted.